What's good? What's good? It's your boy Q. I'm gonna talk about tracking out your files today. Um, First, let me explain why. The reason you need to track out your files is for mixing and mastering purposes. Mainly mixing. When your files are tracked out, it gives whoever that's mixing your song the opportunity to address every track individually and deal with the issues accordingly. Um, when your song not tracked out, the engineer don't have as many options to make corrections and adjustments and things like that. But when it is tracked out, you pretty much got all the options in the world. Um, so always track your stuff out. Now, what that means is, I use Fruity Loops for example, so I'm just gonna explain it the Fruity Loops way. To track out a song in Fruity Loops, what that means is all of your sounds or channels from the channel rack have been routed to designated tracks in the mixer, right? In this particular case, all of the channels, they all got their own mixer track. You kind of want to try to avoid grouping channels on mixer tracks, but there are exceptions. You know, sometimes you'll have multiple of the same sounds open in the channel rack, or uh, let's say percussion patterns, or you got a particular set of sounds that you're using as a layer, like you use a string and a synth or something to create your own little pad or something like that. You can put those on a single track, but other than certain stuff, you don't really want to be grouping too many tracks. Um, Once you get them all into the mixer and they all got their own individual track, you're gonna want to make sure that they're all panned to the center. So they're all gonna be center. If you're not really sure on how to approach stereo separation, just leave the stereo separation on default and let whoever's doing the engineering deal with that and choose whether or not something should be mono or stereo. Um, if you know what you're doing, then go ahead and select that right away. Just remember, if you put something in mono, it's harder to take it back out of mono than it is to take something from stereo to mono, if that makes sense. It's hard to go from mono to stereo, but it's easy to go from stereo to mono, is what I'm trying to say. So if you don't know what you're doing, just leave it default and let the engineer deal with that. As far as levels, make sure all your levels are below 0 dB. Preferably below -4 dB, and once you really get into it, below -6 dB. The reason for that is because you need headroom. What headroom is the space between the peak of your track and 0 dB. That space is what's needed for the engineer to do his mastering. So if you don't leave him a lot of space to work in, he can't really do, his best work, basically, is what I'm saying. What's next? I said pain. Oh, effects. A lot of effects you can leave on the tracks, but certain stuff you want to remove. If it's something that you gotta remove and you need it to be put back into the song by the engineer, take it off and just make notes like, hey, I need this, and this to work this particular way on this part or this track or at this particular time, whatever the case may be. But the effects that fall into that category would be things like chorus, reverb, um, stereo enhancement, what else? Chorus, reverb, stereo enhancement. In some situations, delay, flanger, phaser. I'm drawing a blank for some reason. I feel like I'm missing something. Compression. You might want to avoid compression in some cases, especially if you have to use heavy compression. You might want to take it off and then explain to the engineer, hey, I need this to be compressed this particular way. Um, Auto tune. If you don't really know what you're doing to set auto tune and things like that, you might want to cut that off so the engineer can set it properly and actually tune it to the vocals and stuff like that. But make sure that stuff's cut off. So in this particular track, we just got, I saw some reverb. It looked like I just saw a chorus. So we would just go through and simply just cut those off. I don't know what that is. Okay, that could stay compressed. So yeah, we'll just cut off the reverb on that. Since it's a string, I'll actually leave the stereo enhancements on. I know for a fact that's the other string because there's two of those. There you got chorus, reverb, and we got distortion on the drums. See, I'll actually cut that off too and tell the engineer, hey, I want my sub or whatever this was, or in your case, whatever that would be, you would want it distorted. In my case, this is a sub. It's an 808 sub, but it has a hard attack, so it's just used as a kick by itself. But I use a distortion to make it stand out more, to make the bass parts, the sub parts, stand out more. So I just cut that off and just tell that to the engineer, hey, you know, I want those basses to stand out more, to play more of a harmonic role in the situation. So can you put some distortion or something on it? And there you go. Alright, so I'm going to move on. I hope that was enough to make you understand how and why to track out your files. Now let's get to the details on the step-by-step process and Fruity Loops on how to do it. Once you do all that, make sure all these are not muted. You don't want to do that. Once you cut off all your effects you needed to cut off, put your panning back to center. You're going to want to check your levels. Make sure your levels, like I said, is all below the specified number. Like I said, if you can, -4 dB. Don't worry about it being too quiet or whatever. Just -4 dB. Make all these tracks peak at -4 dB decibels. And once you do all that, then it's time to export. Now the difference is certain programs, the next step I'm about to explain is different, so I'm gonna give you an alternative. If you can't just simply export the tracked out tracks like I'm about to show you with Fruity Loops, what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to mute each individual track and export. So you see how I just cut on just that drum track? That's the only track that's activated. Then I will export and name it drum. Do the same thing with the clap. That's the only one that's gonna play. Export it, name it clap, and all the way down the list. That sucks, but some of the programs y'all use, that's how you're gonna have to do it. There's gonna be some programs that allow you to record individual mixer tracks, but won't allow you to just export them. So what you would do then is just arm a couple. Don't do too many of them. You don't want to overwork your computer, but you're gonna arm some of these mixer tracks to record themselves. In this case, in Fruity Loops, you would just simply do that. I would just do like 4 or 5 of them. Hit record and then let it play, and it'll record itself, and it'll drop the audio into the playlist for you, or wherever your particular program sends it. So now moving on to explain it for the Fruity Loops users. You can do it the way I just said it, by exporting each individual track. You can also mute them over here too, same thing. Or you can record them down here like I just said. Or you could do it the easy way and go to File, Export, Export Wave, just like you would a normal track. Set it up, put it on Wave, and then just activate this light right here that says Split Mixer Tracks. You cut that on, and when you render it, wherever you send it, all of these tracks are going to be individual wave tracks. Just make sure that the lights are on. Make sure they're not muted. But if you do what I just said correctly, if I explained it thoroughly, because I just kind of ran through that, I didn't prepare to make this video, I just did it. If you do that correctly, you should have all of those individual tracks in whatever folder you sent it to. And there you have it. Now, in a lot of y'all's cases, because I do mixing and mastering and all that engineering stuff, so that's the reason why I could leave on a lot of these effects, because I kind of know what I'm doing a little bit. But some of y'all don't know how to mix and master, so you're going to want to just simply cut all that shit off, right? Just cut everything off. Unless it's like detrimental to the song. Like, for example, I got gross beat open on some of this stuff. That you would leave on, because that's actually part of the construction of the song. All the other effects, though, you would cut off. The compressors, the EQs, all of that. Cut all that off and let the engineer deal with that if you don't know how to do it yourself. Because what you don't want to do is have something in that file that can't be taken away. The engineer can't take it away. Like reverb, for example. If it's there, it can't be taken away. You can add it, but you can't take it away. You know what I mean? I mean, you can kind of minimize it a little bit, but you can't take it away. So yeah, that's the stuff you need to think about. But whenever you send in a track to somebody, you want to make sure you have these tracked out files available. Like, for example, with me, if you send me a track and I'm actually about to use it for something and it's going to go through the mixing and mastering process, I'm going to want these files. I'm going to want them done correctly so I can mix and master it the right way. I'm not going to want a single MP3 or wave. As a matter of fact, I don't want an MP3 at all. You know what I mean? So that's all stuff you need to keep in mind when you're dealing with different people. They're going to want different levels of quality of files, and this is the way to achieve the best quality, because like I said, the engineer can actually go in here in whatever program that he got, because it's just a wave file. He can open up each of these wave files and deal with them individually, just like I can right now in excuse me, in the program where I made it. I'll probably make another video about this and actually plan it, but hopefully this was a good video. I mean, hopefully I explained it in a good way so you understand what I'm trying to say and the purpose of this. Another thing you're going to want to do is probably export a copy of your mix after you've done your mix or whatever. Just export that before you export a mastered, or before you even master it all together. That way you have each level of files. So you have the tracked out files, you have a file of your mix, and then you have a file of your master, right? And the reason for that is because it saves time. Because if your mix was good and the song just needs to be mastered, well, you got that file already, just master it, boom. If the mix was bad and you need to mix it, well, you got the tracked out files. You can go in there and mix it, boom. Go on and master it. You get what I'm saying? So just to be prepared, have all that stuff. Another thing, when you exporting the masters, make sure you export a FLAC, a MP3, a OGG file, a wave. That way, you know, when it comes time to use the song or whatever, you already got the copy of whatever file format you need. Like, for example, with my beat store, in order to even start uploading the beat, you have to upload an MP3 first, and then you can upload the additional files. So I just make the FLAC, the MP3, the wave, the zip file. I just do all this stuff right out the way. I mean, right out the gate. That way, when it's time to take it to the beat store, if it makes it there, I can just start uploading. I don't need to go back and do no converting or making or go back and re-export, nothing, none of that. It's just being prepared. But anyways, I'm going to end this video. Hopefully I did what I intended to do and explain the tracked out files to you. Again, this is important. Always do this. Even if you got to do it and then save it somewhere and take it off your computer to save space, just make sure they're already available so you don't have to come back and do it. Because sometimes it takes a little bit of time to figure out what you got to cut off and to undo all your panning and all that crazy stuff. Sometimes you got to hunt down certain issues to get rid of it before you export. So, you know, again, it's just being prepared. But I'm out of here. It's your boy Q. I hope that was a good explanation. I hope you understood what I was getting at with it. allriseproductions.com for more. We got beats, mixing, mastering, tutorials, sound packs, SoundCloud plays. Man, it's a list of stuff we could do for you. We even working on actually becoming a label versus just a production company. So hopefully you'll be seeing a boatload of releases coming soon. I'm out of here. Once again, allriseproductions.com. That's all rise, you know, like all stand up. and rise like the sun. You get what I'm saying? Holla at your boy. I'm out.